I would very much like to welcome you all and thank you for being here for a sort of a short summary of the state of the school for 2021. It has been 2 years since we last met for one of these events in person. I wish we could do this, we've done this at the Town and Gown, so to meet in person, also enjoy lunch, but certainly this is not the time where coronavirus has made all these plans go away. And hopefully not too long into the future, I definitely owe you all a good lunch and a good gathering. So hopefully next time we will be able to meet as a group. The theme of today's presentation will be all about the facts that we live in a world of change. If there's anything that we learned the past couple of years is how fast the world can change and why it is so important to always be able to adapt, be agile, and respond, even to lead this change. In fact, we sort of anticipated to a certain extent in the pre-COVID era such changes because technology is moving so fast. And therefore, in order to be able to live with these changes that technology is bringing to society, we had to also adapt and be agile. Of course, 3 years ago, in 2018, and before COVID was even a word, I had sketched some of these changes using the cartoon of an exponential, and I'd like to share it here in this talk. I like to ask Christina if she can share it on the screen. Let me see if I need to do that. At that time, I remarked that changes are inevitable. I sort of sketched a technology versus time evolution, which was very schematic, sort of a schematic to say that technology is changing exponentially fast, or at least very fast, so that if you were to take a tangent to this curve, let's say the one that if we were to have a fixed mindset, we won't be able to follow where technology is going. In fact, we will not be able to lead it. And that will create a gap that has to be bridged if we were to adapt to change and more particularly if we wanted to lead it. What I had in mind in that schematic, of course, was the exponential changes that are brought up by innovation, so to speak, by Moore's law. And I argue then that it requires that we have this mindset of change that requires agility and adaptability, and also that it requires that we reinvent ourselves almost every year. I argue that we should not only adapt to change, but also to lead it, to sort of I coin a phrase of hug the exponential, so to speak. In hindsight, when we look back and with the benefit of hindsight, we can see that, for example, other changes around us that are not brought necessarily by technology, but for example, in this case, by COVID or other phenomena, potentially climate change, are also having changes that are very fast. In fact, the spread of an epidemic is nothing short of an exponential. One of the reasons it was ignored by many was that because human nature has a tendency to extrapolate on a straight line, is that people miss the fact that these things move at an exponential pace. And it may not be an exaggeration to say that other potential threats that we face in the future, like climate change, for example, can also follow such an exponential rate. So such changes are not only brought by technology itself. At the same time, the accelerating pace of technology innovation, at least under assumptions inherent to a free society, brings great hope that even such phenomena as epidemics, which are also growing fast, can be addressed and solved. In fact, the rapid pace of the development of COVID vaccines was such a triumph of science, technology, and engineering. And as the Israeli historian Yuval Noah Harari said, in the battle between pathogens and humans have never been so powerful, which is such an optimistic view of the world. Now, I wanted to sort of philosophize a little bit why we have this rapid change that is going on around us. And I'm not talking about phenomena of nature, but rather because of innovation. And why is technology moving so fast? One can describe this by assuming that the rate of technology change, which I have shown here on the right side of this slide, is proportional to the state of innovation itself. If we make that assumption, it is essentially an autocatalytic process, to borrow my own chemical engineering background. And if you were to integrate this equation, this will produce nothing else but another form of Moore's law. So perhaps we can see Moore's law not necessarily as the specific law that describes how features can be packed in a chip, but rather as a rate of an inherent law to the way by which innovation develops. I will have to say more about innovation a little later. In fact, if we go even further and assume that the rate of innovation, the rate of change of innovation is proportional to the square of the innovation, state of innovation again, then you get actually something different, a growth which is faster than exponential. And in fact, it can approach a singularity, which is a conjecture that was made some time ago by Ray Kurzweil. In his book, the singularity is near, can be actually, one can be able to actually see what was the rationale behind that. What consequences will result from such accelerated changes? And how important it is to us and to our School of Engineering. I can single out a few specific things. First, that difficult problems that can be amenable to technology, and I will argue that many human-centric problems will also become amenable to technology, will become increasingly solvable. So again, difficult problems will become increasingly solvable. And the extraordinary power of technology to generate such solutions underlies the reason why so many organizations have articulated grand challenges type problems, from the National Academy of Engineering Grand Challenges to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. This enabling power can and needs to be directed towards solving important problems in the areas of sustainability, security, health, and enriching life. But to also expand these sets of problems to address other societal problems in ways never imagined before, including addressing inequities, long-embedded societal biases, and to help truly create a better world, therefore making technology human-centric. This powerful technology leads to powerful unintended consequences. And that's the other thing we need to keep in mind, that while we have powerful technology in our hands, there are also powerful unintended consequences. Many are adverse, they're undesirable, sometimes even catastrophic. Therefore, technical competence alone should not be the only requirement for our students. They will also need character to help prevent or limit such unintended consequences. Finally, moving with these changes in a seamless and frictionless way requires agility and adaptability, grit, determination, and innovation. And in the case of an organization, the presence of trust among its members. Indeed, conflict is the tax we pay in the absence of trust. And I will have to say a few more things later on. Back in 2018, I encapsulated these attributes with 5 bullet points, again, in a cartoon-like way, which I would like to share with you in the screen. That's on the next slide. I sort of named them with some sort of a whimsical way, hugging the exponential. If you can please show the next slide, Christina. Engineering Plus, that changes the conversation about who we are, what we do, and what we look like. The need to be innovative and entrepreneurial in the broadest sense of the word. The development of a cultural mind, understanding others, understanding cultures of people, and how they behave in today's fast-changing world. And what I call heroic engineering, the impact of technology to solve societal problems. These are, in a way, attributes that are part of the Grand Challenges Scholars Program, the National Academy of Engineering Grand Challenges Program, which was conceived here at USC along with Duke University and Olin College 12 years ago. It is now part of more than 100 engineering programs around the world. This Grand Challenges Scholars Program was identified with the National Academy of Engineering 14 Grand Challenges. These Grand Challenges were both achievable and sustainable to help people and the planet thrive. In fact, his vision was motivated with by the following 14 words, and let me read them for you. Continuation of life on the planet, making our world more sustainable, secure, healthy, and joyful. And that was the original goal of the Grand Challenges for Engineering. And viewed from today's perspective, these Grand Challenges anticipated the ever-increasing power of engineering and technology to be the enabling discipline of our times, but also underscored the ethical responsibility that we have to address important societal problems, and presented a purposeful, impactful, and deeply human-centric future for engineering and its endeavors. Today, with a 12-year significant experience behind it, the Grand Challenges Scholars Program is as topical as ever and can now also address other big challenges, such as the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and many others as well. But more importantly, its evolution must also address the development of what I call trustworthy engineers, with trust and ethics being key, important, and desirable characteristics of graduating engineers who will be handling technologies of extraordinary power and of equally impactful unintended consequences. So we must emphasize, therefore, not only the development of technical competence, but also that of character, and I can say more about it in a moment. Together, the two will spell trust. As we contemplate the future of engineering education and research, we expect that it will be shaped dramatically by these tendencies. This dictates that we need to prepare students with appropriate competencies, but also with mindsets of agility and adaptability. I would like to focus in more detail about what we do here in the school about these 5 mindsets I showed you earlier and how we advance them. And I will give us specific examples for these 5 mindsets, the following. The rapidly increasing technological evolution in terms of AI, data sciences, and related digital technologies. Second, our convergence with medicine. Third, innovation and entrepreneurship and what we do here. And fourth, trustworthy engineering and engineering for societal impact. Let me discuss this in some detail, and I will start first with the AI and data sciences. Last April, as part of President Folt's State of the University address, she said, I am asking the provost and our new senior vice president for health sciences, working with all our schools to determine how to launch our moonshot in computation and AI. And she continued, we can be leader in sustainability in data sciences, in promoting the convergence of AI and technology into every sector. This is indeed a very fundamental attribute of technology that enables every other discipline. For several years now, we had a national footprint in this area, but we envision a lot more, an effort that will be driven by the following principles. AI and data sciences, and more generally the use of computing, provide an opportunity to reimagine all aspects of engineering and technology, both in education and research. In doing so, AI and data science make engineering and technology more human-centric and therefore more impactful to society. And AI and data science are enabling many other disciplines, amplifying their impact across all human endeavors. So it's not only desirable, but in fact urgent to proceed with education innovations where undergraduate and graduate education are being reimagined, operating with emphasis on novel computational methods and technologies, also to be balanced by new human-centric education. This will help address a number of things. Reimagining undergraduate Viterbi education, in which both data sciences and AI become an integral part of our curriculum across all majors. Second, to repeat that for all USC students as well, whether they're engineering or non-engineering majors. To fundamentally revise also on the master's engineering programs with the same goals and the creation of similar programs across the university. In other words, to not only have Viterbi X plus AI, but also USC X plus AI, with AI a shorthand for the powerful new digital technologies that are developed. In so doing, we can also leverage the great strengths we have on the west side and create a USC Tech Campus that's complementing UPC and HSC and forming an important third component of the USC LA footprint to act as a hub for applied research and technological innovation. Imagine if we were to do this, because this will help us with grow our research institutes, ISI and ICT, and others, and fostering the formation of large funded research and education centers with computing-centric focus. To help support from other federal government centers, such as ARL West, or the growing, hopefully, a new partnership with Space Force. To increase USC corporate engagement in research and professional training, particularly focused in Silicon Beach tech companies, as well as other sectors. To foster public-private partnerships to address regional and global challenges. To incubate startup and entrepreneurship anchored and expanded in places like the Viterbi Startup Garage. And to create outreach to community colleges and K-12, increasing equity and opportunities, preventing yet another and more powerful digital divide, this time with the data sciences, while growing the AI workforce and capabilities in the region. All this will help us multiply opportunities for growth in interdisciplinary fundamental computing, from quantum electronics, quantum to electronics, communications, cyber, etc., fueling the computing plus dimension for Viterbi and USC that could encapsulate the quantum to space and possibly other elements of the USC research futures, and also to serve as an anchor in computing related to bio and HSC in partnerships with many other institutes and activities going on right now at USC. Which brings us to the Dr. Allen and Charlotte Ginsburg Human-Centered Computational Building. This was announced in January 2020. The groundbreaking was held on May 6, 2021, and progress is underway to start construction sometime in the fall. This new building will advance computer science's role in improving and benefiting society at large through all kinds of activities in this rapidly growing area. I should also mention that last year, our Center for Artificial Intelligence Society received a significant grant to leverage AI to reduce racial biases in Los Angeles' housing services. The goal was to develop AI tools that more efficiently and equitably allocate housing to thousands of people experiencing homelessness. Co-director of KAI's Bistra Dilkina, professor in computer science, is also playing an integral role in another important AI initiative. She is a co-principal investigator of a new NSF AI Institute for Advances in Optimization. This institute was funded by a recent $20 million grant from the NSF to bring together artificial intelligence and mathematics to tackle such challenges as food security, supply chain operations, and hardware design. Georgia Tech heads this project which includes an additional 4 USC Viterbi faculty. I should finally mention that in a groundbreaking partnership with Amazon, USC Viterbi aims to help restore trust in this increasingly important technology. Established in January 2021, the USC plus Amazon Center for Secure and Trusted Machine Learning, one of only 2 joint research centers nationwide supported by Amazon in this area, will promote a new generation of research focused on building societal trust in AI and on machine learning. I expect to have more exciting announcements on AI and data sciences to share in the not too distant future. Now, as we look to the West to strengthen our partnership with the technology ecosystem, we also look to the East to strengthen our collaboration with the health sciences. This Engineering Plus effort is necessary, important, and hopefully imminent. As you know, in the Maslow hierarchy classification of the grand challenges, health is a fundamental block in that pyramid, if you wish. With the university placing considerable emphasis on growing the health sciences, it's not only imperative, but also unavoidable that real transformation can only happen through a strong partnership with engineering. Indeed, most medical advances, from personalized medicine to diagnosis and cures, rely on novel technological platforms with rates of growth that parallel the ubiquitous exponential I shared before. I believe that it is time for our school to develop very significant and concrete new ties with our HCC campus and to create new academic and research structures that will help us advance novel education and research for a really true Engineering Plus paradigm. We're in the process of moving this needle forward as well. So having talked a little bit about the hugging the exponential thing and the Engineering Plus, I'd now like to turn to innovation and entrepreneurship. For several years now, USC Viterbi has nurtured the growth of an ecosystem of innovation in what is known as Silicon Beach. We sparked new businesses through a multitude of initiatives, including the Viterbi Startup Garage, the Massey Entrepreneurship Prize Competition, the Min Family Challenge. Since 2014, we have also served as home to the National Science Foundation I-Core node in conjunction with Caltech and UCLA. Now, many of you already know that last month, NSF announced that USC would lead a prestigious new I-Core Hub West region. This is established with a $15 million NSF grant. This I-Core Hub will bring together engineers and scientists from 7 other top research universities across the West, including the University of Colorado at Boulder, Colorado School of Mines, University of New Mexico, University of Utah, UCLA, Caltech, and UC Riverside, to help us develop a translation of discovery and nurture a new deep technology ecosystem that will bring these discoveries from the lab to the marketplace in the Western United States. Imagine this specific part of the country, of our nation, being led by the University USC in terms of advancing innovation and entrepreneurship and through the I-Core program. So we're extremely excited about this, and we are very humble and honored that NSF has provided this confidence and trust in us. As you see, there are only 5 of these hubs in the United States at this point, and our West region, our iHub, will play a lead role in shaping this innovation entrepreneurship ecosystem in the Western United States. The sky is the limit in many different ways. We cannot be more excited about representing and leading this significant effort. But at the same time, we want to proceed in many similar directions to promote new startups, supporting local industry, help attract and retain global talent in this region, make sure that we create programs to advance diverse groups of investigators go towards implementation and development of new businesses and new startups. and create programs to train also teachers at community colleges in K through 12 to offer an exposure to innovation and entrepreneurship in this domain. Another human-centric approach to innovation can be seen in the Civil Engineering Class 486, Innovation in Engineering Design for Global Challenges. This year's class will take our students to Alaska. In fact, they are already there as we speak, to partner with indigenous community, address local and global challenges with a special emphasis on sustainability. This class, offered in civil engineering, aimed to teach engineering students how to design products, services, and technologies to help solve the needs of real people in the middle of serious human crisis. So innovative is this course that in May of this year, PBS aired a documentary about it. So there is a slide that shows that. This class, the documentary was coined Lives, Not Grades, and followed 5 teams of students brought together from several different USC schools between 2018 and 2020. This is when the class was offered, as they research, design, and build digital or physical solutions to improve the lives of the tens of thousands of refugees living in the Greek island of Lesbos, at the time Europe's largest refugee camp. Lives Not Grades, well filmed, it was a documentary filmed in Los Angeles, Lesbos, and Berlin, and marks the first feature-length documentary film produced by our school. We think that this is a remarkable achievement from the perspective of disseminating to the world the interesting things engineering students can create. And as I mentioned, was filmed as presented as a documentary at PBS and its networks. Now, earlier this year, we also held the ribbon cutting for the Bohm Family Makerspace, which establishes a new hub for undergraduate student innovation and positions USC Viterbi as a leader in hands-on engineering learning. Distinguished design and competition teams, such as SE Racing, will work side by side in this 10,000 square foot makerspace. Under the direction of Alan Weber, the makerspace is now officially open to USC Viterbi students. Another example of our commitment to hands-on learning and innovation, last year, USC Viterbi created the Center for Undergraduate Research in Viterbi Engineering, acronym CURVE. The program embeds younger students in USC Viterbi research labs, pairs them with PhD mentors to drive research on topics ranging from climate change to space engineering to socially assisted robotics to COVID-19. Our willingness to cultivate and unleash our undergraduates' considerable research talents makes us very unique as well. I will now move to, after talking about AI and our potential partnership with the health sciences and the development of leading development in innovation and entrepreneurship, I would like to talk about trustworthy engineering. In 2004, the National Academy of Engineering produced a report, The Engineer of 2020, that anticipated the attributes of engineering graduates 16 years into the future. So these future attributes range from analytical skills, practical ingenuity, to creativity, teamwork, business and management skill, as well as leadership, resilience, and flexibility. Now, the engineer of 2020 graduated a year ago. What was missing from these ingredients? I dare say that what is missing is character and purpose. Indeed, today's engineers require more than technical skills. They need to understand and consider the interests of the communities affected by their practice. They have to have a strong knowledge of ethical responsibility in view of the rapid and powerful changes in technologies, a deep understanding of their place in society, and they must be able to articulate their ideas to those they impact. To answer this call, I am pleased to announce that the Viterbi School of Engineering is now expanding its engineering writing program to convert it into a program for engineering in society. This will be an academic program of instruction and research that addresses the humanistic aspects of a holistic engineering education. This will not affect the curriculum, the technical curriculum part, the competence part, but it will definitely affect the character part. The impact on students will be made through a series of courses and extracurricular projects to provide opportunities for Viterbi students to develop a vision of trustworthy engineering for our engineering graduates. This mission is, the program's mission is to distinguish Viterbi education by purposefully connecting its students' technical work with its societal impact. They will span the 4 years of an undergraduate education and will be anchored in many courses, new, existing and new, and in extracurricular opportunities. The program, to be led by Steve Bucher, focuses on communication skills, ethics through courses, modules, and extracurriculars, and additional engineering education. Common courses available to Viterbi undergraduates will include a revised freshman academy, ethics, technology, and value, which is intended for sophomores and is being offered for the first time in the fall 2021 semester, as well as the required course Writing 340 for upper division engineering students. More courses are being designed as we speak in partnership with Dornsife College in terms of ethics, particularly, for example, with philosophy, the Department of Philosophy, and other connections between technology and society. Another key component of this activity is the Viterbi Ethos Project, which is funded by the Coalition for Life Transforming Education. The Viterbi Ethos Project seeks to develop engineering students' character, identity, and purpose. In its first phase, discussion and outreach series and podcasts, as well as the revised Freshman Academy, will provide unique experiences for our Viterbi students. This program for engineering society embraces a holistic approach to engineering education, taught through innovative practice and integrated with Viterbi's technical curriculum. This program will help students better understand that practice is inseparable from the examination of value, communication, and societal impact. We have examples of how this human centricity has already making Los Angeles a more inhabitable and sustainable city. To help combat climate change and improve the air quality of the nation's second largest municipality, Los Angeles and the US Department of Energy's National Renewable Energy Lab, NRL, recently partnered together to produce a path for a zero emissions future. The LA 100 study, released in March, concludes that the city could be powered completely and reliably by 100% renewable energy by the year 2045, through an ambitious adoption of solar and wind, hydropower, and improved electrical storage, among other steps. USC Viterbi's George Van Weiss and Kelly Sanders, professor of civil environmental engineering, wrote the LA 100 chapters on air pollution and water, respectively. But there's more to trustworthy engineering. As you know, we have long aimed to change the conversation about engineering, who we are, what we do, and what we look like. That commitment to advance the new engineer also captures understanding of our fellow humans, as well as expansion of diversity, equity, and inclusion mindsets. This led the American Society for Engineering Education to award USC Viterbi the ASEE President's Award back in 2017, one of the few such honors ever bestowed to an engineering school. The last year and a half showed that we all must do more, much more, to demonstrate what is our character and purpose, how we can be more trustworthy. And as part of this effort, we launched a school-wide initiative that has at its core to be equity-minded. The pandemic has forced us to focus on the things that matter and the things we value as individuals and as society. We learned yet again the importance of valuing our fellow human, upholding our collective humanity, open our hearts and minds to inclusion and understanding, to work to eliminate inequities. So as we change the conversation about engineering, we see many results that follow as a result. Our fall 2021 undergraduate class, once again, and for the third year in a row, is gender balanced. It's nearly 50% women. Equally importantly, it is the most represented in our history, with about 14% Black students, 28% Latinx students, and 25% first-generation students. These are numbers that historically high, and I believe that we will be able to sustain this in the future in a significant way. The past 18 months have tested our competence, character, and resilience as never before. Faculty, students, staff, alumni, and parents pulled together and demonstrated the indomitable spirit of the USC Viterbi family. We could not be more proud. And I'm not alone in recognizing this excellence. Since our gathering in April for the Faculty and Staff Award luncheon, many of our faculty members have won a number of prestigious awards, again underscoring our academic excellence. I will single out a few. 5 of our assistant professors, tenure-track faculty, Heather Culbertson, Gio Smook, Xiang Ren, Konstantin Sideris, and Phoebe Vallanos, received the NSF Career Award. Rehan Kapadia and Chimin Wang, also assistant professors, were awarded the Office of Naval Research Young Investigator Award. Stacy Finley, associate professor, became an AIMB fellow. And Jay Ravichandran, also assistant professor, won a MURI as a principal investigator, one of the very few ever awarded to API on the tenure track, Miriam Sanecci being another such recipient a couple of years ago. And in case you missed it, in February, John Chipang and Azad Mani were inducted into the National Academy of Engineering, while Jay Kuo in electrical and computer engineering received an Emmy for his technical work. That's an amazing recognition for Jay as well. So the school enters the fall 2021 year, the academic year, with healthy record enrollments, strong support from our supporters and friends, and the knowledge that we face an unprecedented epidemic with a forward-looking spirit, full understanding of the need and demonstrated ability to adapt to constant change, and the full sense of being trustworthy. As we move forward to the post-COVID world, we will be faced with many other challenges of change. Many will have an exponential nature to it, ranging from fundamental questions of what is the meaning of work to how we work in the future and how we can maintain a national leadership by constantly redefining what it means to be an engineering school and what it means to be an engineering profession. These are challenges that are exciting, and they will also be very much ahead of us. It is up to us to be able to address them and be able to meet the moment. In this process, I should remind you that we should not forget these 5 rules of hiking the exponential, think of it in an engineering plus mindset, innovate in the broader sense, including technology innovation, understanding cultures, understanding our humans, fellow humans, understanding their history, their predicaments, and understanding both globally, but also locally in this country as well. And finally, heroic engineering, the impact of understanding the impact of technology to society at large and how to make a better world. All of this will spell competence and they will spell character. And together they will spell trust. I think being trustworthy, trust is increasingly absent in our society. We need people to be inherently trusted. Creating engineers that are really trustworthy should be a goal and an objective for our engineering education and research. So I will close with one final slide to remind us that powerful and convergent technology help us address and solve humanity's goal by creating trustworthy engineers and changing the conversation about engineering. And in this endeavor, I will use the quotation from quantum physicist David Deutsch, which I have said before, who said that problems are inevitable, but all problems can be solved with the right mindset and the right use of science and engineering. It is an optimistic view of the world that I espouse, And it's one that I am sure you all share with me. So thank you again as we move into this next new academic year and fight on.